Overwhelmed, trapped in a maze, small business owner. Stress had me in a daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through, we rise above. No more feeling stuck, we're fueled by love. Our small business is shining, reaching new heights. With the support of our success group, we're taking flight. The power is strong, the vision so clear. Building our dreams with no more fear. Together we're resilient, unstoppable force. With our success group. Changed my whole perspective. Our success group, community so effective. We are chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through, we rise above. No more feeling stuck, we're fueled by love. Our small business is shining, reaching new heights. With the support of our success group, we're taking flight. The power is strong, the vision so clear. Building our dreams with no more fear. Together we're resilient, unstoppable force. With our success group.
Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday and welcome to Rising Tide Talks. I'm Kylene and I encourage transformation through positive energy.
Awesome. And I'm Aaron Montgomery with our Success Group. And we are here to inspire you to fall deeper in love with your business. And excited to talk about that and other topics here today. But we got people already checking in. So let's say hi first before we get rolling. So we've got Chuck here. Good evening, everyone. And then Barb checking in. Good evening, everyone from North Central Minnesota. And so, yeah, on the banner there, it's rolling across the bottom. Tell us what you're grateful for. Karen, already rolling into the gratitude. We appreciate that. Grateful for the beautiful full moon last night. Yeah.
Awesome.
It was pretty spectacular, wasn't it? That's a good reminder, Karen. Thank you. So, but Kylene, we're going to be having a great conversation today. As you can tell, it's just the two of us. Unfortunately, Becky's been going, just have other things going on. So she wasn't able to make it tonight. Certainly bummed about that. Always love to have these conversations with her, but I think we'll do a great job. And so it'll feel a little bit like Small Business Saturdays, but hopefully with more discussion from you guys that are tuned in. So if you guys wouldn't mind doing us a favor real quick and just going and, hitting the share button, making sure that people know that we're live right now. And that way they'll come in and join the conversation. The more people we have in the conversation here, the better off this conversation is going to be. A rising tide lifts all boats. And so really important to do that. So Kylene, today we want to talk about sharing your business with others, right? And we've found that a lot of times people do have a hard time growing their business because, quite honestly, just not enough people know what they do, right? Mm-hmm. And I get it, right? It's like we don't want to be boisterous, we don't want to brag, all that kind of stuff. But what that action of not sharing with enough people is doing is kind of in a way indicating, and I'm not saying this is necessarily true, but this is what other people might interpret from the outside looking in when you're not willing to share your business, is that you're not proud enough of what you're doing. Therefore, we're going to keep it secret, right? Kylene, you and I always joke about, we don't want to make our business super secret. All right. So today's conversation really, for me, Kylene, is to talk to people about how can we do more of this? How can we do it so we have a positive experience, so we'll want to do more? So there's some nuances there that I hope that we're going to get into today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This is definitely something that hits home for me. I've definitely struggled with this on my entrepreneurship journey here.
Yeah. And it can be a struggle for everybody, right? And I'm not sitting here going, oh, I know exactly what to do, and I'm doing it all the time, right? Like, no, not at all. What I'm here is to say, this is what I've learned so far, and so I think that's what we hope. But again, I'm excited to hear from you guys. So again, make sure that you're inviting your friends in. The more perspective we get, the better we're going to get at this. So the idea for today is talking about how can we share our business more? So, and 100% Karen, Kylene has some great insight, and I'm looking forward to sharing any insight that I have as well. So, and we're looking forward to hearing your insight, Karen, and Barb and Chuck and whoever else is tuned in. So, but before we get started with that, Kylene, how should we, I've got the banner scrolling, so I'm kind of giving it away, but.
Okay, we're going to start with gratitude like we always do. We start with gratitude because that's our superpower. When we're in that state of gratitude, we're in a state of abundance, and we start really attracting more good things to us because we're putting on a higher vibration. We're looking for the good instead of the bad, and we're really appreciating what we do have in our life. So we want to bring as much positive energy as we can here today. And so if you haven't done so already, share what you're grateful for today if you're listening in. Aaron, do you want to start with us, what you're grateful for today?
Yeah, absolutely. So all the things, right? I'm going to steal a line from Becky there. Just like so Becky, we have Becky here in spirit, right?
Yep.
So all the things. But I think the one that stands out the most for me is just I'm so grateful for all the people around me. This week has been great getting caught up after our trip, and just lots of calls and connections and several mastermind groups, both that I facilitate and also my own personal mastermind groups that I'm a part of. And so I think I'm just grateful for all the people around me that are so supportive and uplifting. And I'm grateful for that opportunity to intentionally be around the right people at the right time.
I love that. Yeah.
How about you?
I am grateful for being able to spend some time with my mom. Last week we were in Arizona, and just was nice I haven't really been there since my dad passed. So it was really important for us to connect and go through some things together. And I don't know, I would say it was actually quite healing trip. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. But that's awesome that you share that, Kylene, because that could be something that we avoid, right? Oh, that's going to be too hard. It's going to be too emotional. I'm not going to be comfortable there. Right. And so to, go into that with a little trepidation and then be able to leave that with the understanding that, while it was difficult at times, emotional at times, it was also very healing and cathartic. I'm not even using that word right. I'm not even saying it right, but you get the point.
Yeah, but no, that's exactly how I felt going into the trip. I didn't quite realize that that's what was happening, but it was definitely, I was anxious about it. I was excited, but just, it's hard, right? And so facing a hard thing, you have those emotions that show up.
Yeah, for sure. Love it. All right. Well, good stuff. And we'll if you guys have gratitude to share along the way, please pop it in the comments there. And again, make sure that you are sharing this with your fellow folks, so we get more folks in here tuned in. And at a certain point, right? This is the Rising Tide Talks. This is not the Rising Tide Aaron teaching, Kylene teaching, kind of thing. This is a conversation, and so we need to have you guys in the comments to keep doing this each and every week. And maybe this is like our businesses. We just need to share it more. So anyways, all right. Well, you ready to dive into this conversation?
I'm excited about this one.
Okay. Well, I think the first thing we should do is just ask people that are tuned in, whether you're tuned in live or whether you're catching the replay right now, put it in the comments wherever you're at there and tell us. Just be honest with yourself too. I think this is important that we're honest with ourselves. But do you feel like you share your business enough with the right people? Right. So, that's kind of a yes or no question. But me, I never like just an open-ended yes or no question. I like to go a little bit deeper. So I'm going to expand on that. So again, do you feel like you share your business with enough of the right people? B, if not, if that answers, and again, an honest answer, right? So just be honest with yourself. You deserve that. If that answer is no, is there anything that you can see in front of you, anything that's holding you back from sharing it with more people, right? So Again, that's the engagement we want to have with you guys that are tuned in. But Kylene, how does that kind of land for you?
Well, it hits home. Like I said at the beginning, it does hit home. And I think about the times where I am super secret. It's because I'm not confident in my message enough to share with people. Therefore, I don't share when that happens. And that means I'm not clear, and that fear shows up, and then those negative emotions are there. And then that's what holds me back. And it's because I can complicate things instead of simplify them.
Yeah. Okay. Love it.
Something I've learned along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's what a wonderful share. What a great way for us to kind of start thinking differently about this a little bit. And Karen, oops, I clicked the wrong button there. So Karen shared with us, not enough of the right people. So that was a no. And what was holding her back was lack of knowledge of all the social channels. So there you go. Lack of knowledge and different kinds of fear, really. Okay. I want to share Chuck's, just because he was sharing what he's grateful for. I'm grateful for the weather here in Florida and getting the artwork corrected to move forward with production. So fantastic, Chuck. Yep, definitely. Okay. Well, let's dive into this then a little bit deeper. And Chuck says, no, I don't share enough because of the fear. Also not confident. Right. So again, totally get it. Right. Just people are going to go, what? They don't understand what I do. They don't like what I do. Maybe they're a competitor. I don't, there's all sorts of fear reasons that pop up. I'm actually listening to an audio book right now called The Confidence Gap. Okay. And it just made me think of that, because also not confident. Right. Because the point that he just made that I was just listening to on the way home from running some errands was the fact that confidence is actually defined in two different ways. Confidence in, like, yes, I'm confident, I'm sure, right? Like, and that's a feeling. But then confidence is also defined as an action, right? I might not be sure, I might not be confident, but I'm showing confidence as an action because I'm doing the thing anyways. Right? So, anyhow, Rena says, late to the party. Hello, everyone. Rena, you are never late to the party, because when you're the party, how can you be late to it? I love it. So let's talk about this, though, Kylene, the importance of this, right? And so we know we've got the reasons. And again, I think that we can all point back to some sort of fear one way or the other, or, just lack of fear that you don't have enough knowledge, right? So Karen talked about not having knowledge of the social channels. Okay. Well, how do we gain knowledge? Taking action, doing it, trying, right? Yeah. So there's still definitely a bit of fear there that's keeping us from taking the action, right? Because we don't want to do it wrong, or we don't want to break it, that kind of thing, So, but I think to start here, Karen, let's just talk about the importance of taking the initiative to share your business with others, right? So this kind of conversation started in my brain because I got a message. I got a ton of, first and foremost, everybody, I so appreciate all the wonderful birthday messages last Friday. What an amazing birthday I had, and thanks to you guys. But I also received a message from somebody that I don't know very well, that reached out, and they said, happy birthday. And then they said, I'm doing this challenge where I have to share my business with somebody every day. So do you need or know somebody that needs these services? Right. And I'm like, cool. Okay. I like that. Taking the initiative. Again, I don't think I've had more than maybe one quick comment interaction with them in our group, in the Entrepreneur Success Hub group. Just kind of a, hey, welcome to the group. Tell me more about you, and got a little bit there. But that's about the extent of our conversation. And so she was willing to put herself out there. And obviously, if that's the case, right, my guess is she wasn't fully comfortable. In fact, talking to somebody else that does know her, that is the case. And so that's a real positive step forward for sure. Right. And so I think it's really important to note that there's kind of this idea of, we have to have the willingness to take action, right? I said this to you, was it to you or who I said it to? But this just showed up in my brain, and I had to share it. Like, solutions will show up when we're ready for them.
Yeah, you said that to me.
Okay.
A
Thank you.
couple times, yeah.
Reminder. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it like, man, it was like mind blowing when I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
yes, that's it. Right. It's just we're not ready for it yet. So we're not willing to look for it yet. Right. So
Yeah.
when we're willing to look for it, the solution will show up.
Mhm.
And so I think that first part, let's talk about that first, that willingness to take action.
Mhm.
All right. So what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, if you look at it and you think about it as fear, right? Typically it's fear that's holding you back from taking that action. And
Yeah.
how do we conquer our fear, right? We take that first step forward. We look at it and we survive that initial risk. For that person, that story that you shared, that initial risk was sending a message to someone that maybe you don't have a strong connection with, but you shared yourself with someone where instead of not sharing it with anyone at all, I mean, that's a huge step. I remember for me starting, I thought everything had to look perfect because I was so worried about looking not foolish, but not smart enough, not talented enough, whatever enough it is. So you had a big sign in front of my desk with a heart around it, and inside the heart it said do. Like, just do it. And it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, just be you. And that has really stuck with me, and it's something I still continue to remind myself of when I hold back.
Yeah. Love it. That again, that willingness to take action. And I think it does just start with a choice, right? A choice to do something different, right? Okay. What I've been doing is not working right now, right? It's not getting me to where I want to go. So I can keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
But if I expect a different result, right? So we have to start with that. We have to start with that willingness to take action.
Yeah.
So let's put a pin in that real quick, Kylene, because I want to get back to a couple of the comments that just came up in the chat here and make sure we're getting to that. But Barb says, I'm grateful for the knowledgeable mentorship group I belong to. It's helping me to tweak and streamline my business. I love that. Awesome. Good job, Barb. Appreciate that you've got that for you. That's awesome. Good job. Karen says, I'm a media channel, but feel that our impact has been lost in all the options there are for sharing your business: video, social media, website, email marketing, and more. Right. And so here's my take on that, Kylene, and help me if I'm wrong here, but I feel that our impact has been lost. Right? That's what stood out to me. That was like the glaring red flag. I feel like our impact has been lost. Well, that's what's the Henry Ford quote about, whether you do or if you don't, it's true, or that's not exactly right. But the idea here is, right, if you feel it's been lost, then it's been lost. If you feel it's not been lost, then it's not been lost. Right? Like that's the hard part, is that it's so simple. And but then we got to be willing to do the things, right? We got to be willing to go, okay, well, maybe it was lost because I felt like it was lost. Now I need to change my mindset and say, okay, yes, there's a lot of options for sharing your business, but why is our option the best option still? And then get very clear with communicating that to your ideal customers, right? To your ideal clients. And that's the hard part, right? It's like, yeah, sure, things change, things adjust, but you need to be focused on what it is that you're good at and who you're good at working with and why. Right. So hopefully I explained that well, Kylene.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's we can get lost in not the comparison of things, but there is so much out there. There's so many people that, for example, for me, that teach yoga, or you can go on YouTube and find yoga for free on there, So how am I different? And I'm not going to lie, I felt like that too at times. And then, with the right people around me reminding me, and me reminding myself, how am I unique? What makes my message different? Yeah. And I think, Karen, for you, it's remembering, how is your impact different? All your years of knowledge and connections and all of that you have to offer to people is huge. And so I think remembering that side of it.
Yeah, For sure. The comparison thing is so dead on, right? We do that to ourselves, but it rarely does any good, right? Sure, it's important to understand what's out there, so you can kind of be looking for what people are. But when we start comparing, and then my go-to is to be competitive, right? That's a strength of mine.
Yeah.
But if I let that get a hold of me in a negative way, right? Because here's the deal: all of our strengths can go both ways.
Yeah.
It's something that we have as a strength can go both ways. But if I start going like, okay, there's a ton of coaches, right? Everybody's a coach nowadays, and I think that's great. People are willing to help each other, and I think that's wonderful, right? But I can look at Barb's gratitude for the mentorship group and go, oh man, I'm so angry, and shut Barb out, right? Like she's not part of our group, right? Like in that way. Not at all. It's like, awesome, cool. What can we learn from Barb? How can we lift each other up? How can we raise the tide up? But again, we have to be aware of when we start comparing, what are we doing to ourselves from a bigger picture perspective, right? So
yeah. How does that saying go? Comparison is a thief of joy, or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
Right. Something along those lines.
But it does. It takes away anything from you when you go into that comparison state of mind. It's hard, but we just have to be aware of it.
Yeah. That's exactly right. All right. So Barb said, when I find something that's not working, I need to step back and try to look at the issue without tunnel vision. Absolutely. That's
huge.
Point.
Yeah.
So another benefit is this idea of when we're sharing our business, right? We think we've got to have this sales hat on, and that, we're just not comfortable with that. I'm not a salesperson. It's not what I do, blah, blah, blah. If we change that mindset and understand that when we're sharing our business, this is also an opportunity to build a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Because when you share your business and you do it right from this is my gift that I want to share with the world, not like I'm desperate to get this sale, right? It's just, hey, this is my gift. This is what I'm proud of. This is what I love to do. Then think about the relationships you can build from that, right? You'll find that when you're sharing that with more people, you might turn an acquaintance or just somebody you kind of more randomly met on Facebook into a stronger relationship, which then in the future could lead to more opportunities, right? I think about some of the folks that we get to work with in our success group, right? Like if I wasn't willing to share what we were doing, we wouldn't have the Masters of Success group, right? And now we've got lifelong friends and people that we have much stronger relationships with because of the fact that, we said, hey, this is what we're doing. Do you want to be part of this? And they said yes. But even people that said no, right? I still have relationships that are better than before I shared what I did, right? Yeah. So does that make sense?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, we've all talked to the people who, when they're selling, if you will, it comes off like negative. It comes off desperate. It comes off just pushy, and no one likes that feeling. And so therefore we don't want to feel like we're doing that to them. So if you just change that, and you're just building a connection with someone, and hopefully it grows into an awesome relationship. If it turns into business, bonus, right? But it doesn't always have to. And I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yep. And what Barb's saying here, I look at sharing my business as planting the seed, right? And absolutely, because again, if you're going into it with this expectation that you got to get a sale, right? Like there's this sales mentality that you got to, right? Yes, we want to go with high expectations, but high expectations of, hey, I'm just going to be proud of what I can control and share. And if there's a connection, awesome. If not, then maybe I, learn something about somebody else or something like that. Right. And so when you leave this idea of, oh my gosh, if I share and I don't get a sale, then I'm a failure. Right. Like we got to let go of that. Right. So planting the seed, right. Because here's the other thing I know, because I think this way, and I believe other people think this way. There's been lots of times where it's like, yeah, that's not the right fit for me. But when I run into somebody else that I go, oh shoot, I remember so-and-so, we had a talk about what they do and it wasn't really right for me, but it was a great conversation. I felt like I have a little bit of a knowledge of what they do and I built a relationship. And so I'm going to connect the two of them. Yeah. Right. Like, so you make these unexpected connections that you won't ever get. So, Rena says, I have a hard time sharing what I do, and that's something that I need to work on. Right. So, yeah. And that's our hope here in this conversation is that we can kind of see this differently. Karen says it's easy to look at what's wrong. And I've seen so much change in 30 years. I want to change with the times. Absolutely.
Yep.
And, again, the simple answer to that is, okay, change. I hate to be like that. And maybe that's not even true, Kylie. And I don't know if I do hate to be like that. That's just who I am. Right? Like, I kind of, I don't know, help explain that for folks.
Oh, where do I start? I'm just kidding. No, I mean, we are one thought away from a different outcome. Yeah. I mean, we can truly change our mindset with just a different thought. And then over time, we'll start to believe that new story we're telling ourselves instead of the old story and hanging on to what we have. I am a creature of habit. And so this is something that I can relate to, but I love learning. I'm just a little bit slower sometimes to adapt, and I'm aware of that. So I have to be more intentional of it. And I think that's what she was saying. Yeah.
And just again, not to say that this is simple and I can't believe that you guys aren't doing this, because then I'd be talking to myself, because I have the same scenarios. But when I break it down and I go and start thinking about these things, I go, is it really that simple to just kind of change my mindset? And unfortunately it is, so, Rena said that's something I need to work on. Okay. Well, what if we remove the need out of it and you change that statement to, I do have a hard time sharing what I do, and that's something I am working on. Mm-hmm. How would you act differently after having that be the statement come out of your mouth or off your keyboard in this case? Well, and again, not to, this isn't calling out Rena. This is what goes on in my brain with what I do, the exact same thing. I need to do this. I wish I was doing this. Gosh, I should have done that. Right. And just changing a few of those words changes the whole kind of future progress for me. So
it's your get to and have to,
get to and have to. Absolutely.
Or the other way around, maybe.
I love it. Barb's, this is a good shirt. That'd be a great shirt. I'm one thought away from a different outcome. There you go.
Oh, I like it.
Kylene. Rena says, I like that. Goes along with mindset. Absolutely. Karen says, but you need the skills to make the change. Okay.
Correct. And that's this awareness. Yeah.
I feel like I'm arguing with Karen here a little bit, but she knows me and she knows that I'm not arguing with her. We're just taking these next steps. How do you gain skills? Right? Like,
you have to survive a risk
by osmosis. I mentioned I was reading that Confidence Gap book, and he was talking about some of the actions we could take. And he says, it's like trying to learn karate. You can't just read the book and then all of a sudden become good at karate. You have to actually go try the skills.
Yeah.
Right. So the way to learn the skills are to go try the skills and see what works for you. Right. So anyhow. All right. Last bit here, Kylene, it is, again, what we're talking about is why it's so incredibly important to do what we can to try to share our businesses more. And maybe that's just one more time a day, one more time a week, whatever it is. But it also gives us some additional visibility. And I know that not everybody's comfortable with visibility. And I'm not talking like visibility like you're the next influencer and you're going to be on, national television or something like that, whatever that looks like. I'm talking about visibility in your community, in your space. And here's why I think that's important. As kids, we were conditioned, right? I think about how we've conditioned our son, with Keegan and with Lewis. I'm like, oh boy, I worry about this, right? But I don't need to worry about it. It is what it is, and we got to move forward. Can't change the past. But we've been conditioned to sit down and shut up, right? Like go to school, sit in your chair, raise your hand, only talk when being addressed, right? And okay, I understand that. We need that order. We need that opportunity, right? We can't just have chaos with everybody yelling and screaming at the top of their lungs all the time. Right? But we have to find that happy medium, right? And so we have to get outside of our comfort zone a little bit. And I don't care what you believe is like who you are, right? Like deep down inside of you, every single human wants to be heard. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, right? We may go about it in different ways. Right now, I'm not saying everybody's going to jump up and all of a sudden start doing a live video every day, or these aren't the types of challenges and things that really help us. But to do something that's up against your comfort zone can be so freeing, because then talk about the skill there, Karen, right? Like you do something that you've never done before, you'll learn from that action, and then you can take that learning and that adds to your skill. And every time you try and do something a little bit different, you're adding your skill.
Yep.
And so,
And
what are your
then,
thoughts on that?
well, that's how you build your confidence with yourself, and that self-trust. As you survive that risk, you learn from it, and then, okay, next step, where do I go? And the sit down and shut up kind of thing. It's, we do have to try different things sometimes to know when something will work and not work. And, a lot of times it's safer to experience that, when you are younger in school and your personality is developing and all of that. But we can still learn this now. It's something that I am a quieter person, and so drawing attention to me is uncomfortable at times. But I personally have gotten better with it, and because I know my true gifts need to come out, and being quiet, someone else is going to be sharing something that I feel like I could be sharing. Same with your whatever it is that you're offering and selling with your business. You want to be the one to provide that service, to provide that awesome gift or whatever it is, because you believe that what you're providing is special. And so it's hard to watch other people do something that that is something that you could be doing.
Yeah, it is. And again, these things go back to human nature. So I'm always of the opinion, Kylene, that we need to not try to fight our human nature, but instead partner with it.
Yeah.
And so again, the understanding of these things, I think, is a huge leap forward. But human nature is, again, to be a little bit competitive. Everybody, whether you're competitive or not, you have a little bit of competitiveness. It keeps us alive, right? If there's two people and only one thing to eat, right, and you're both starving, human nature is going to kick in, and there's going to be a competition for that, right? Now, at what degree, how much the dial of competition is pulled up for you is important, right? Like for me, my dial will go all the way to 10 if I'm not being intentional about it, right? So I need to keep that dial down around 5, where it pushes me to be better, but not pushes me to be a jerk, right? So, but some people, their dial's down at like 2, and they're just, but they need to maybe move theirs up a little bit more, right? So I think that's a really good point for sure. Okay. Karen, got your comment there. I've got it starred, so we'll come back to it here. Can we take a quick break, Kylene, and just share one more time with folks about Fun Live, and then we'll come back and get the second half of this.
Sounds perfect.
All right, here we go. The Fundamentals Live event is back and better than ever. Our last event was a huge success, and we're always striving to improve. This time, we've made it even more exclusive with only 10 seats available, and we've extended it to be even more valuable. Fundamentals Live is scheduled for October 10th through the 12th, 2024 in St. Louis, Missouri. Details can be found at osg.link/funlive. If you know it's time to transform your business from have to into get to, if you're ready to be more fulfilled and take back control of your business and life, this is the experience you need. October 10th through the 11th, you will put the fundamentals into action and walk away with a blueprint to manage a business that truly fulfills you. If you are feeling overwhelmed and undervalued, reach out to me and let's talk about what villains are holding you back. Don't wait to sign up for Fundamentals Live. October 10th through the 12th is the time you need to come together with other like-minded business owners. I have personally seen the clarity, confidence, and fulfillment this experience will bring you, and we want you to be a part of that. Don't let your hesitation stand between you and the success that you deserve. Reserve your seat today at osg.link/funlive. We'll see you in October. All right. Well, so it was such a great week last week, and it's been such a busy week trying to get kind of caught up and back on path. And because of all the great people that I met and things like that, I've been pretty much on a video call since Monday morning, it feels like, right? So I haven't had time to take down the birthday offer. So it's still there if anybody wants to go check it out. The birthday offer is name your own price, right? So normally this retreat costs $1,600. If zero is the number you can afford right now, perfect. Right? $100, perfect. Right? We'll figure it out. I think getting this formula in people's hands and letting them experience how they can rebuild their business is more important to me and more important to Kylene than trying to like, oh, we got to make a bunch of money and get hundreds of people here. Like, so, it's still up. I may drag my feet a little bit longer because I know I'm talking to some folks that might be interested. And then we'll kind of see where we head. October 10th through the 12th. It will be life-changing, business-changing, and an opportunity to get your time back, right? Because you're going to change the way you think. You're going to get an uncommon mindset that will drastically change how you approach your business.
Yeah. I keep thinking back to the first one, and to see people so engaged with their mission, with their why, their business, and see all those light bulb moments and the excitement, and it truly is life changing for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Okay, well let's get into the back half of this. So at the front half, we talked about the reasons why sharing our business more is so crucial for us, and what value we can take out of that. How we can utilize that new ability, that new skill that we're getting of figuring out more and better ways to share our business with the right people. So I think that in the second half, Kylene, let's talk a little bit more about how and some of the things to maybe avoid, right? Yeah. So and here's how we'll kind of kick this off. Let me ask another question of everybody that's tuned in live here. When you've shared your business with other people, what was the feeling, right? And I'm not saying like go to like a specific person. Well, they said yes, so the feeling was awesome. Just kind of in general, after you got done sharing, how are you feeling after that, right? And then thinking about what that feeling is, kind of overall of how you were sharing. Did that feeling then promote or hinder you from doing more of it, right? Did that feeling go, oh, yes, I can't wait to do more of that? Or did that feeling go, oh, yuck, I feel gross. I'm going to, that was yucky. I don't want to do that anymore, right? So, Kylene, you did such a great job answering it the first time around. You want to take it?
Well, yeah, as you were just asking this, I just thought of, early on sharing my name and my business and what I did was terrifying, because I wasn't confident in my message. And afterward, it was horrible. I felt horrible. I felt like I just vomited words all over people, and they're like, huh? Like, what did she just say? But then I thought about when I have been sharing it and it comes out confidently, clearly, because I am connected to it, and it feels awesome. Like maybe the audience even wasn't even the right audience for me, but I felt like I shared what I can offer clearly, and I felt good about it. So, when you're connecting with someone and when you're not, and when to stop talking is something that I had to learn. I don't have to tell them absolutely everything I can do.
Yeah. I was just at a business retreat this last weekend, it was weekend, right? I guess Saturday is when we were done. And we did this exercise. There was about 20 of us in the room, and we did this exercise where each one of us had to get up in front of the room. And these are 20 like high-end coaches, people that are really kind of, got a lot of this figured out, but still kind of just trying to figure out how to, do stuff. And so we were all supporting each other. And so the idea was we all got up in front of the group, and the group was supposed to be like the best potential client ever, like the one that you get excited about talking to, because so you got up and like, hi, my name's Aaron. And then the whole group would go, hi, Aaron, what do you do? You kind of just felt this rhythm, right? And then the idea was, instead of, again, vomiting all over the whole group with words, we were to just share one, maybe two sentences at most about kind of the idea, right? And so for me, it was, I help businesses build a foundation so they can fall deeper in love with their business. And then as a group, everybody said, interesting, tell me more. right? And then we shared a little bit more, and then they would go, interesting, tell me more. And that's what we're really trying to do when we're sharing it. We're not supposed to just go out there and go, this is what I do. Here's everything, I do. Here's my list. Right. The idea is that we're supposed to go out there and be interesting. So people go, ooh, interesting. Tell me more. And what you're doing there is you're starting to create a series of yeses. And as you create that series of yeses, then you're going to more easily be able to clearly communicate with what you do. And hopefully they'll be then ready to say, yeah, I do want that. Right. So anyhow, that's the idea here. And Karen shared this. I appreciate this, Karen. She says, makes me excited. I love sharing my business, especially in person. Right. So if I can kind of speak to that real quick, right? Like, okay, that should be your drug, right? Like in person. Okay. How are you going to do more of that? Right. Like, because your other suggestion was, well, what ways are you suggesting? We offer this. Well, the only way I would suggest is what works for you. And you just told me what works for you in that fact that you said, especially in person. Okay, go do more of that. And then it becomes, well, how do I do that? Okay. Like I said at the beginning, a solution will show up when we're ready for the solution. And so it's just that kind of process of taking those little steps that I think can be really crucial for us, Kylene.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts there?
I mean, it's huge. There's always a way. I mean, there truly is always a solution, like you said. But we have to not come up with all the ways it won't work as we're thinking about it. I remember this clearly, this conversation we had back at the beginning of this journey for me. And you're like, oh my gosh, you're the most positive person, but you are looking at all the ways this will not work.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if it would? Just what if it would?
Yeah.
And go lead with that. And it was really a powerful statement.
Yeah. I love that. All right. Karen says, expos, get out to Equine events. Perhaps video is another option when I can't get away. There you go. Yeah. Boom. Solutions. I'm going to go with my pom-poms.
I love it. Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So a couple other things I want to talk about here with this then, and hopefully people are chiming in. Because going back to that question, when you've shared your business with others, what was that feeling that you had at the end of it? And did that feeling promote or hinder you from doing it more? All right. So one more time, when you share your business with others, what was the feeling? And how has that feeling promoted or hindered you from doing it more? So go ahead and type that in the comments. But again, this came from this reach out that I got on my birthday, and I thought it was awesome, right? Like good stuff, right? Like, but there's also times where I see people doing these challenges. I got to do a live video every day, and those types of things. Like, I cringe a little bit because, yes, we love a good challenge, but if it makes you really uncomfortable without a real reason, deep-seated reason for why you're doing it, then the challenge is actually doing the opposite of what it's intended to do. It's actually going to make you less likely to do that thing. And the whole idea of the challenge was to get you comfortable doing the thing. Right. So if you just are like following some person and on social media, they say, go share your business every day. And they don't get into what we talked about at the front of it. They don't help you with that kind of stuff. Okay. Just be aware of that, because when you do something that then becomes really uncomfortable and doesn't really work out for you, you will end up doing it less. And so the challenge doesn't work, right? Like in our Facebook group, we did a challenge about gratitude, right? Nobody's going to post gratitude and feel uncomfortable about that. Right? So we're not going to ask you to do things that are going to make you more uncomfortable without digging into giving you that space to grow into it. And so you have to be aware of that. You have to be like these challenges all sound like a good idea, but be careful, ask somebody, right? Like there's, yeah, for sure. So, and here's why, Kylene. First and foremost, when you just kind of, go and randomly, whoever, I'm going to reach out to one person a day with no real research into it, right? You lack that personalization. Right? Because we have to first determine why we're sharing in the first place. And then what's the goal of sharing? right? Sure. We talked about the visibility, you want to be heard, but in the example that I'm using here, like it was kind of like, oh, just send me people. Okay. I don't know you. Why would I do that? Right. And so I think that lack of personalization can be a challenge when we take on a challenge that we don't really think through.
Yeah. Well, I think about back in the day with network marketing, when I started that, it was reach out to everyone from high school. Well, I haven't talked to some of these people for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say, hey, how are you? I see it's fun looking at your kids' pictures. By the way, I started selling this. Do you want to learn more? Do you want some? Like, it just doesn't, there's no.
You're not warming up your network that way.
No, but no, that's how they said, reach out to everyone you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that shotgun approach will work for a few people. They'll get, but in those scenarios, they didn't care about building you up as a business. They were just trying to get one more people underneath them. Right. And so they're going to catch enough flies, so to speak, that if you're a casualty in the whole thing, it doesn't matter. Right? So,
Okay, and it doesn't feel right. I mean, because when it's done to you, because it's been done to me, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, for sure. So the other part about this, Kylene, is context does matter, right? Like I said, you need to kind of understand who you're reaching out to, have a little bit more of a plan going in. That's why, to me, I'm always so loud about the fact that we need a foundation, because we need to understand who it is that we're actually trying to reach out to begin with. And then also what the goals are. And again, not saying that we have to get something out of everybody, but the context does matter, right? So this could hurt your brand more than it helps your brand. Like you were just talking about with the network marketing thing, right? You're just reaching out to everybody and they're going, I haven't heard from Kylene since we were in high school, and now all of a sudden she wants to sell me skincare products or whatever it was at the time, right? Or makeup, or like that's not genuine. And now people look at Kylene and go, oh. I'm not saying that they do per se, but if you were over the top about that and you just went and I'm going to do a 30-day challenge and reach out to everybody and scream as loud as I can, right? So you're missing context there for sure.
Yeah.
And then another point is, and I think these kind of play together, but there is this potential backfire, right? If you're receiving negative feedback or you're feeling like your outreach wasn't effective, again, it will make you feel like, why am I doing this? I need to go hide deeper in my cave than I was before. Yeah. And so there's that potential backfire. And so the wrong approach can actually make you more hesitant to try it again.
Yep.
And so that, again, this is why it's so crucial to really have that solid foundation, because then you can have the right approach.
Right? Because you're confident in it and you believe in your message. And and when you do get that negative feedback from having that wrong approach, like you were saying, it is so much more difficult to get started again, to build that confidence up, to take that little step and do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. So Karen says, if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want, from Zig Ziglar. Love that quote. Yeah, it's good. Yep. Really good. That's exactly it. Right. And then I guess lastly here, Kylene, it's about a strategic approach, right? What type of reach out is right for your ideal customer? And is that sustainable for you? Right. So the example that sparked this topic, I did actually reply to their message, and this was from Friday. And when I checked just a little bit before we went on, that person had not read my reply yet. So they reached out on Messenger, but clearly they're not on Messenger. So even if I did come back and say, oh my God, I'm so interested in your services, I don't know, maybe they would have actually then read that and come back. But so again, we need to have this strategic approach. And so is that approach effective? Right? Because I do have people that I could refer to that person 100%. There's people I know that are looking for what she does. But at this point, in this stage right now, I don't think that I would, right? I'm not sure they value relationships, as they're not very engaged in anything other than that one reach out. And B, the level of communication before the sale is probably going to mimic what it would be like after. Right? Let's be honest. So how we do one thing is how we do everything. And so if you're not very engaged to begin with, then how are you going to be after you get that customer, right? So why would I refer somebody to that situation? Because then I would look bad, right? Oh, you should go do business with them. And then they'd do business with them for a little bit and they wouldn't get communication. They wouldn't feel like they were anything more than a transaction. And they come back to me and go, oh, that was a terrible experience. Why would you recommend them? Right. But all of that, right? I just put out a whole bunch of stuff. And this is the way that our brains work. We make all of these assumptions. We look at the actions, not the words. Mm-hmm. Right. So the happy birthday was lost in all of it. Right. And I know that let's go to that. We make assumptions about things. That's how we manage to process so much information. So what's your kind of take on that strategic approach, right? How do you kind of lean into that?
I think it's extremely important because the last thing you want is to share a message of who you are in a way that's truly potentially not genuine of how you do your business. So if you don't have that plan going into it of how you're actually going to connect with these people, then it's just going to fall short. And again, we talk about the whole building that momentum again to try to do it again, but we're not learning from it. So having that plan of action, okay, I'm going to reach out and then I'm going to make sure Monday morning I'm responding to all these people because that's when I have that chunk of time to do so. And then it will feel more genuine. Like I actually do care about building this connection with you. And I actually do hope that I can help your members in your community or whatever it might be. Yeah,
absolutely. And, a strategic approach is really about kind of like you talked about, right? What's the, like, okay, so maybe the message was what it was. And then, it's like, so happy Friday. If anything comes up over the weekend, just go ahead and reply and I'll get back to you on Monday.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, oh, cool. Now there's no pressure. Right. And so that's, but the how of this, most people are going to give you this like, do this. Right. That's just not the way that we work here at our success group. That's not the way that the mentality really, because that's not worked for us. Right. We could go find some 10X guru and try to do TikTok dances all day long. And I don't really think that's going to move the needle per se, right? I don't think I'm going to make any deeper relationships or connections that way, right? Karen, talking about what you said, right? I love, especially in person. So Karen's way of going about it is, she does need to go to the expos, go out to events where other horse people are going to be at, where horse businesses are going to be. But maybe in the community that she's in, maybe there's Rotary Club, that there's some deeper connections, maybe it's networking for her. Right. Whereas for me, networking's not my thing. I'm not that type of person. I don't know. I have yet to figure that out. I'm working on it and I am working on it. I don't need to work on it. I am working on it. Right. So, so the first, like what I would suggest for folks is let's start thinking a little bit more about it. Right. So what I would do if I'm coaching somebody to figure out a strategic approach for this is I would just start asking some questions. Okay. Who is your ideal customer specifically? Where do they hang out? Right. Where do they go to get information about what you do? And then where are you most comfortable at? In person, in Karen's case. Right. Mm-hmm. She says you're getting more comfortable at video. Okay. How can you lean into that more? Right. So there isn't a one size fits all solution to this. And the fact that go out and do the challenge, great. But just understand that if you don't think it through and have a strategic approach to it, it very well could backfire on you. So, I guess I'll close with this, and I'm sorry I've talked the whole time, but
you're good.
Well, before I close with this, Kylie, anything else you want to add to this? I feel like I
No.
was doing a rant today, so I apologize if that's what you guys feel like.
Well, no, I mean, this is something you're very passionate about, though, is relationships and building them in the right way that are genuine. And so you weren't ranting. It's just something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And I agree. I just think like having that plan and really listening to what you want to share with your ideal customer, is really going to help you just get outside that comfort zone a little bit to share your business. And the more confident you are in what you're sharing, the more people are going to trust you and want to learn more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, it's simple, but it's hard, but it's simple.
Yep. Simple, but not easy, I think is the saying there. So, okay. Well, the thing I wanted to close with here is the person that reached out to me, they are in our Facebook group. And so but if this is you or not, right, I'm happy to have a call with you and talk through this, right? That strategic approach. This is the type of thing that I work with our consulting clients on and in our mastermind programs on. And so I want to do this for those of you that are tuned in here. So that's the group, osg.link/group. So I just wanted to pop that up there. If you aren't already in our group, please go join us over there. But just go to this link right here, osg.link/thank you. That's a thank you for your time. And it's going to ask you to fill out a couple of questions just to make the call a little more productive right away. And let's talk about this, right? Like what is the strategic approach that you need to make to share your business more? And not just want to have that conversation. As Kylene said, I'm really passionate about building these relationships. I know I talk a lot and I come across very quickly and sometimes maybe even a little harshly, but I'm very, very friendly. So nothing to be scared of. You guys are amazing people that I just want to be able to support and use my superpowers, which are these solution finding, which are, pushing people forward and really kind of trying to bring out the best in you. Right. Mm-hmm. And you're doing that each day yourself. But if I can help and enhance that a little bit, I am super, super grateful for that opportunity. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome. All right. Well, Kylene, how should we close this up here?
Well, it was a great conversation. And again, this was one that I was excited about. And just, I love the feedback that you all provided that are joining us here. It's always inspiring. And I love learning from all of you. And just sharing different insights is really going to help us grow and thrive together. So remember, the journey of entrepreneurship is not a solo trip. Join us over at that Facebook group Erin shared before, osg.link/group. And we'd love to hear any key takeaways you have from today. We can continue this conversation over there. Or if you want to talk about something else, start a conversation over there. We'd love to engage.
Yep, absolutely. Speaking of challenges, though, today was the last day of the gratitude challenge. So, but we are going to leave it open for a few more days. We'll leave it open through Kylene's birthday on Friday. And that way you can go back. So the idea was 21 days of gratitude. There were different prompts in each post. So if you have shared gratitude on each of those 21 days, you will be entered into a drawing. And so you can go back, even if you haven't done it at all yet, jump in there, just share one thing you're grateful for, and hit all of them. And then we'll tally the results on Friday. And then maybe next week on Rising Tide Talks, we'll do the drawing or something.
Yeah, maybe you can get that wheel of names thing.
Yeah, we'll do something fun. So, but you guys got till Friday to go ahead and get those end of day on Friday and get those gratitude posts in there. And then I guess my reminder for folks, Kylene, is the secret is taking consistent, productive action daily. And that could look like just tending to your mindset, right? Thinking differently about these things that we're talking about on Rising Tide Talks, or what we're going to talk about on Saturday on Small Business Saturdays, right? Or it could be spending a little time really truly understanding why you do what you do. What's your reason, right? We're calling those the SVPs, your strengths, values, and passions. And out of that is your reason, your why, some people call it. right? Maybe it's going back and making sure that you've got a specific, clear goal that you're going after. Maybe you're figuring out ways to be more focused through being intentional about how you're going about your day, right? It's those small steps that we take each and every day that are going to lead you to significant progress. Action beats inaction every time. So as Kylene mentioned, keep that conversation rolling over there at osg.link/group. And again, we want you guys to start the conversation, right? This is not our group. I know I've used that term today and I need to work on that. I'm going to work on that. I am working on that. How about that, Rena?
There you go.
I got there. This is the Entrepreneur Success Hub. So if you're an entrepreneur, it's your group, right? So get in there, start the conversation. Speaking of that, we need your help with what topics you'd like us to cover. Right. Yep. We're seeing what people are talking about and trying to come up with some topics for you, but we want to figure out what it's going to take to get more people in here live. So talking about what you guys want to talk about is going to be crucial to that. So, and then again, one more quick ask, please share this. Please share this with people in your community, in your groups, wherever. Share it on your social media. Sometimes it's hard to share our own business. So practice with sharing our success group. How about
that? There you go.
I'm not trying to be sneaky. I'm just being funny. All right. All right. Well, so next week, yeah, we're kind of still working on it with Becky being so busy. You know, this was her brainchild. So we want to keep her involved in it, but she's had a hard time kind of keeping up. So we'll see what we got coming up here again next week and figure that out. But if you guys have a specific topic you'd like us to cover, please let us know. And we just want to thank everybody for tuning in. You're the best, Rena. Thank you. She says, nice job. I love that I get to tune in and listen to wisdom. Love it. Love it. And appreciate all the comments. Karen, Chuck, Rena, Barb. Amazing stuff. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you being here live. I'm looking forward to those folks that are watching the replay and hearing what they have to say too. Yes. All right. Well, I think that's good. I think we covered it, Kylene. So we will see you next week on Rising Tide Talks, but hopefully we'll see a lot of you on Saturday at noon Central Time for Small Business Saturdays as well. Bye, everybody.
Yep. We'll see ya. Bye.